Welcome to this December council meeting of Hawke's Bay Regional Council, and welcome councillors, Mr Mohi, members of the public, good morning, welcome, staff of course, and our media contingent, good morning and welcome. May I ask Councillor Pipe to take us through the prayer, please?
O God, our Creator, bless us as we gather today for this meeting. Guide our minds and hearts so that we will work for the good of our community and help all your people. Teach us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. We ask this grace through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Right, let's get into the meeting itself. Apologies. Now, I had a phone call from Councillor Barker on Friday to advise me he was away today, so he's asked me to put in an apology. I just want to make a point here that it's an unusual way of doing it. You know, we've got all extremes here. For example, Councillor Bevan gave us 3 months' notice that he was going to miss last month's meeting. And part of the rationale behind giving a notice that you're going to be away is you've alerted your colleagues that, you know, they've got plenty of time to think about the fact you're not going to be here and understand, you know, how the meeting may proceed with the numbers that are present. But you sign up to be here, basically. Now, you know, circumstance, etc. has changed for Councillor Barker, and he's asked me to present his apology, which I will. But I just want to make the point that, you know, we've got a KPI as councillors to have 90% attendance amongst us all. And, you know, we do need all hands on deck. So anyway, I'll put up Councillor Barker's apology. Do I have a mover for that? For the day, thank you, Councillor Graham. We have a seconder, Councillor Bevan. I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Carried, thank you. Okay. Notices. Do you have any notices this morning? No. Any notices? I don't have anything for today. Thank you. Conflict of interest declarations for the day. Minutes of the 26th of November. Right. So very quickly for accuracy, page 2, 3, 4. Everyone's got a copy there, hopefully. Page 5, page 6. 7, 8, page 9, page 10, 11, 12 and 13. Happy to move. Thank you, Councillor Hewitt's happy to move. They're true and correct record. Seconder, Councillor Scott. Put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Matters arising from those minutes. Councillor Belford.
Just on page 12, in the report of minor items not on the agenda, number 3, at the bottom of that little box there's a reference to a presentation on bottling plant applications. Do we know when that's going to happen?
Is it in the follow-up? Is it in the follow-ups?
Is the paper going to the ENS committee?
It's in the follow-ups, isn't it?
So, through you, Mr Chairman, it'll go to the next Environment and Services Committee meeting, which is...
Gee, that's an own goal, isn't it?
In the new year.
New year,
okay. Yeah.
So it will be a formal agenda item at some point?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other matters arising? Councillor Dick.
Mr Chairman, can I just ask Chief Executive to confirm that the work on the development of the business case for Napier Gisborne Rail is underway, and any comments you might make?
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Mr Chairman. Yes, the work on the business case began essentially as soon as the approval was given by the council following its last meeting. So that was only 3 weeks ago. So we are still in early days, but are very aware of the tight timetable, and so the parties, both the NGR group and Nick Cornwall, who's working for council, are working very hard on that process at the moment. They are dependent really on some information, the receipt of information from Kiwi Rail on some aspects of their development of their business case, particularly around some of the issues around leasing or purchase of rolling stock and other key elements of it. So to some extent it's out of their control, but they're pushing really hard to get that information out, and they've certainly been engaged with a number of other potential customers of the line, and are making good progress.
The Kiwi Rail's chief executive in his letter indicated they would negotiate it in good faith. So if there are any roadblocks along the way stemming from them, then I'm sure that you or the chairman will remind them of that undertaking.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, no other follow-ups. Sorry, matters arising from the minutes. Let's move into then, thank you, into follow-ups on page 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the same topic as Councillor Belford had raised in matters arising, there was a Lagoima request from Ngāti Kahungunu Iwi Incorporated, and that response to that request was provided to councillors on the 10th of December around the water bottling plant. And then attached is the list of current Lagoima requests, or the requests received this month.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Belford.
This item reminds me that I think at the previous meeting there was a request made to regarding being informed about resource consent applications, and Mr. Maxwell thought that was a great idea and said that was easy to do on Monday mornings, and we all received one, I think, pretty quickly after that, but I don't recall seeing any more since. Is something become of that?
Sure. So through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just waiting for confirmation that the councillor email addresses are set up. My understanding was that information is available, and I've got them all sitting in my inbox ready to go once the councillor emails are ready to set up, and I can start firing them out every Monday.
The councillor, regional council email address.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Meaning we're ready to go, but council business from now on, in my view, will go through council email addresses. And how many are left to go to the chief executive? Do you know?
No, I don't have an update on that.
Can we
Find
expedite that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I might be one of the culprits, but what is the point in having a separate email address?
Well, it's just very clear then, if you're dealing with council business, it's going to you as a councillor. Every other council does it. Not everyone, but a lot do. I think we're behind the times.
So this is a rule of some sort? I mean, in other words, if I choose not to have a council address, I'm no longer going to receive notices of meetings, notices of
No, not at all. But
official business? I mean, what's the point here?
It's about having a more professional front to the council. The Warra District Council can do it, I'm sure we can.
Someone could show me
Righto.
how.
So, any other questions? Someone happy to move that we receive this item? Thank you, Councillor Pipe. Seconded, Councillor Scott. Put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Thank you. Minor items, not on the agenda, please. Mr. Mohi.
I don't know whether it's a minor item, but I wouldn't usually complain, but I just noticed that there's nothing on the agenda for a report from the Māori Committee. And I only say that because there was a resolution, notice of motion yesterday called.
With the indulgence of council, I think we could probably move to that verbal update as the next item, if that's okay with you. Public excluded. Pardon me? No. So that we'll deal with that now. So it's not no, that's not a minor item. Are there any other minor items before we go to that? Okay, thank you. So there's no minor items. So just as long as councillors are comfortable with the fact, it was omitted from the agenda. An update from the Māori Committee, which we normally have following the Māori Committee, and I'd suggest that we move into that now. Dumped in it. Okay, we'll come back to you, Mr. Moy. I'm sure he is. Let's quickly go then to item 7. Item 7, order. Item 7, affixing the common seal. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 11 of the agenda, you can see there are 2 leasehold land sales last month and a memorandum of agreement for an update of existing stock bank along part of Awanui Stream, and I'll just circulate or pass around a aerial photo showing the actual location of that. And 2 staff warrants.
So while that's coming around, are there any questions? Councillor Scott.
Yes, regarding the stock bank, this has been a long ongoing process to try and acquire that land to improve the stock banking around there. How much further have we got to go?
I couldn't answer that without doing some homework on that. I'd have to talk to Craig Goodyear.
Yeah, just if we could have a note that perhaps sometime Craig can just drop us an email and let us know what the status of that particular project is.
Yes.
So let's move that around so people can see what they're voting on here. Councillor Pipe.
Yeah, I wonder whether the Chief Executive could just give us a bit of an outline as to what the staff warrants are. It's just what are they? What's the
Sure,
purpose?
they're most staff, not all staff, but certainly any staff that have to or are expected as part of their job to work in the field have delegations under a number of pieces of legislation, and those are listed there, principally around power to enter property for looking at compliance, for example. Certainly all staff have that ability under the Civil Defence Emergency Management Act when an emergency has been declared, and this really just provides a legal, if you like, backup for that person to be able to carry out their work.
Pass that photo on, please. Thank you. Just so people know what they're voting on. Any other questions? Okay, I'll just let that picture get about. While that's happening, is someone happy to move that we move recommendations 1 and 2? Thank you, Councillor Scott. We have a seconder for that. And Councillor Pipe, thank you. I'll just let people work out where we're talking before we vote. Do you wish to speak as mover? Wish to speak, seconder?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I actually wanted to ask a question about that, if that's okay. Are we purchasing that piece of land, or have we got a lease over it? It's not clear from the document in front of us. It just says memorandum of agreement. I don't know what that means.
It just gives us, my recollection of it is that it gives us the ability to access over other property to get to that stock bank to be able to upgrade it.
So it's some form of easement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, but not a permanent easement, or is it? It's a.
No, I don't think it is, but I need to confirm that with Craig Goodyear, who's a staff member who's responsible for that.
Okay, everyone's had a wee glance at that. I'm ready to put the motion then. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried, thank you. Mr Mohi, are we good to go? And apologies, and yeah, that did slip through. I should have raised that as a notice, so apologies there.
Yeah, thank you. The in terms of the notice of motion yesterday regarding the council's response, I don't know whether it's the staff's response or the council's response. Probably the same thing.
Just for the record, it wasn't a notice of motion, but it was a recommendation that was put forward by the committee.
Oh, is it? Okay. On the 17th of September, the committee would like to express their disappointment, and as the bringer of the so-called bad news at Second 5/8, you described yourself, which is actually a key role in the back line. Now, on one hand, we have the six, the big six, and better relationships with Māori. To follow that up, to give it any substance, you actually have to go to the next level, and unfortunately, it involves dollars. The committee think that the establishment of a second-tier manager, as well as down a level with the likes of a planning manager, which was envisaged by the council. These two roles are important. Now, before the acting CEO took her role, was the communications officer, and it was extremely useful to Māori. We have no problems with that at all. However, the climate, as it were, the scene has changed and is changing. There will be so much more work with the treaty groups going forward, as they, as you know, with the Regional Planning Committee. We see that as a full-time job. In talking, admittedly privately, with some of the senior members of the Māori Committee, they would rather give up the Māori Committee and my position to fund a senior manager, rather than they think it could be more effective to have a senior manager at that level than to have that Māori Committee. 3 or 4 years ago, when the Regional Planning Committee was being formed, some of the councillors that are not here at the moment didn't stand for re-election, said to me, well, that'll be the end of the Māori Committee, when in fact they realise now that there was two separate roles. But that's how seriously some of the senior members of the Māori Committee feel, that it would be more effective to have somebody there than to have the Māori Committee. So I'd just like to flick through a couple of things that we're on the so-called wish list, and realising that everybody's got a wish list for the long-term plan. But we feel that this is really important, and one of them, as an example, Te Reo. It's all very well having on the toilets, you know, wahine and tāne, but it's actually a little bit more than that. And in terms of that, we see the last year two jockey from the Māori Committee and myself attended a treaty workshop, and other councillors were invited, but because of the time restraints they couldn't make it, through what's the name, Constantine? Robert Constantine. Now, he had his so-called last visit to Napier last year for the workshop, but he's prepared to come and have one more workshop. And I would encourage, indeed, if you're making some moves towards embracing Te Reo, it's not just speaking the language, it's actually understanding the treaty. And I would strongly recommend that all councillors go to a one-day workshop with Robert Constantine. He'd probably need 20 places to make it worthwhile, and I'm sure Central Hawke's Bay and Napier and Hastings councils would be interested in filling those places. So that's along the lines of when we say promoting the reo, we actually mean it on a wider sense, promoting Māoridom. And another point which has probably been, I was going to say poo-hooed, given little credence, was the funding of a tauira, a young adult going through the EIT. And while it's true that HBRC actually, if indeed the dam goes ahead, will be funding something like that, we don't see that as the council's contribution. If indeed we're going to raise the standard of understanding with the Regional Planning Committee, there needs to be a group rushed through to take the place of us older ones that are sitting around the table. And each of the claimant groups are going to be faced with, would be charged with the same question. You need to be funding a person. So instead of happening in 10, 15 years, it's going to be happening in 3 or 4 years. So we see that as actually extremely important. With my day job with Ngā Whenua Rahui, we're advocating with the EIT of setting up a course for environmental studies, and if indeed you need to secure the funding from the Regional Council, as an example, to, I can't remember the word now, what do you call it when you bond them so that they either come into a council type job or a similar job, so we're not sort of funding them for studies and then they go to another district. We were very pleased with to hear about the Tom Skeltzman's working with iwi groups with encouraging economic development. Yeah, that was about all, Mr. Chair. We just, with all due respect, we thought your presentation was a little bit of smoke and mirrors, but we're actually used to that. But we've got, around the table, Dr. Roger Marker, 10 years sitting on the Waitangi Tribunal, Piri Prentice currently negotiating with the Crown a $25 million deal. Mike Paku is chairman of the Niki Investment Board. So there were some fairly astute people who were giving their views. Oh, sorry, the Tai Whenua. So yeah, that's what it is. No disrespect, but I mean, we need to be thinking seriously. If indeed you're putting it in the top 6 things, they need to be funded. And yeah, that's about all. So any questions?
Any questions there? Just about the smoke and mirrors. The second fives are a bit slow on that stuff. It was awkward for me on the day because I couldn't answer for the Chief Executive. And some of the fit-for-purpose staff discussions are actually not at our level. So, but I did pass on this morning the views, and there were some strong views. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact you brought it to this table today. So, did you have any comments on any of that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, and I do apologise for missing that meeting yesterday because I understand that probably would have been very useful for me to hear those particular discussions. Certainly, we've looked at those requests in the context of, let's face it, the budget for 2015 and beyond, and it is very tight. But look, I think with Council's blessing, we may revisit some of those issues again. They're obviously very dear to your hearts, and particularly the issue of having a second-tier manager, potentially in exchange for the ongoing continuance of the Māori Committee, as an example, and looking at that as part of the LTP development.
So
you may have given us the answer, Mr. Mohi, of how we fund it.
After, if I just may have the condolence, after the Māori Committee meeting, an important meeting took place between representatives from Niki, Mana Ahuriri, Tamatea and Heratona in terms of the so-called last-minute agreement through the Board of Inquiry, EPA, regarding the monitoring of the tuki-tuki. And that meeting, and they asked me to convey to the council that that we are going to work together. We think it's a great opportunity to bring all the parties together. That was a unanimous agreement, and to pass that on to Helen as the manager. We have met. We're going to meet again in mid-February and then have a hapu meeting to explain it to them, rather than going to the hapus, the various hapu, with a blank sheet and asking them. We thought, how can we save time for the busy people that are around the table as well as staff?
No further questions? Councillor, you happy to move that we accept this report then, and then we'll have your comment. We have a sec.
To second it, Mr. Chairman, but as a matter of process, there was a formal resolution, which probably you haven't got the wording of. Can we agree that that resolution will be picked up and included in the report, the minutes on this meeting?
Would it be included in this meeting or the Māori Committee?
It is actually a resolution to this meeting. It's been, the whole essence of it has been discussed
Okay.
or has been reported on, but the wording should actually be there in the form that it was.
So you as mover, you're comfortable with that? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. You wish to speak?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I don't wish to put words or try and interpret Mr. Mohi's summary, but when he says we're used to that, I don't think it's personal at you. I think it's just a comment that Māoris are used to taking platitudes over the last 100 years. And certainly that has happened. You know, we name the toilets, but that's what we do. And I think it's time for change, and I wholly support the endeavours and the comments they make, and the list, in fact. I would endorse the comment that if we are serious about one of our 6 major pillars of getting more involved in Māori issues and getting closer and developing the partnership, then we're going to have to put some serious investment into it. I'm not suggesting that we're full of platitudes like our society has been in the last 100 years, but we need to be very cautious and determined not to be. And it won't work without serious investment. And by the end of this year, the Māori economy in Hawke's Bay is going to be substantial. There's just no doubt about that. They're going to have a huge impact economically in our region, and we need to be understanding their issues, and we need to, from this group that represents all of Hawke's Bay, we need to be doing a lot better than we are.
Secondly, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was a good a meeting, and there were lots more things that were discussed at the meeting other than this particular one, but there was a very strong feeling from the meeting that a resolution come to this council expressing their desire to see of that list, those particular things were of great importance. One was that high-level appointment that Mr. Mohi has referred to in Manager of Māori. One was over the wider development of a knowledge of te reo and an understanding of it in context. And the other was that succession upskilling of people to move into roles within the field of resource management. So the feeling from the meeting was very strong and clear on that. And I would actually like to suggest that should Council consider it appropriate to bring Mr. Considine back here, and he has been running courses up here for a long time and they are good. I think for years, over a decade he's been coming up here regularly. If either that is open to councillors and staff, or if council does consider the opportunity of providing some te reo courses for staff, that councillors also get invited, because we realise that we all actually need to be able to improve our understanding. And Mr. Mohi, I know I have to improve my pronunciation, much as I practice my Māori vowels every morning as I clean my teeth. It still comes out wrongly. But certainly that was the feeling from that meeting, that we those were of extreme importance to the committee, and they wanted that conveyed very strongly to council.
Councillor Pipe.
Yes, just to underline that, one of the examples that was given at the meeting, which struck home to me, was that even within Māori organisations, they understand the importance of upskilling on kawa and tikanga, the protocols that are needed within Māoridom themselves. And so very often they have somebody who is there right at the top level of management who's responsible for that. So they're putting resources into that for their own organisation. So I guess they were saying, well, the council should be doing a similar type thing, and this is what came of the discussion, and this is why they were so, I think, adamant that it came to council today. The other thing, I just want to back up, what Councillor Scott was saying about the treaty workshops. As has been said, when we're looking forward to a whole changing landscape. We have to understand where we came from in the past, and so the treaty workshops are really important. I haven't attended one of Robert Constantine ones, but I have attended treaty workshops. But I would certainly be putting my hand up to go to one of these workshops again as a great refresher and a new perspective, I think. So yeah, I'd support that entirely.
Yeah, just finally, Piri Prentice spoke on the Ahuriri estuary, and to put it into context, that they have been negotiating with the Crown, with the Ministry for the Environment, with the Department of Conservation Minister, and a series of ministers within their claim, and they encourage those groups that have been involved in the estuary over the years. So there's not a matter of them taking over and saying everybody go away. It's a matter of them saying, okay, we've got the so-called ownership back, but we want to encourage everybody. And they've actually had a 2-day session out there with some of the people, and those various groups were saying to one another, oh, we didn't realise you were involved, and we didn't realise that what you were doing. So what I'm really trying to put across is that this is, while it's a new age is coming upon us, it's actually an age where everybody is the winner, not just the treaty groups.
Thank you. Before I ask to sum up, I'll just a couple of comments. I too have been practising Mr. Mohi's name, and I don't call him Mickey anymore. I now call him Mike. And I'll just put that there for the record, or koro. And as far as platitudes go, I meant what I said. If I was second 5 and he was first 5, I'd get at least one hospital pass every game. Guarantee it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, you wish to sum up? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion, and all those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you.